My name is Emily Carter. I'm 29 years old. 2 weeks before my wedding, I found out I was never the only bride in his life. And the way I found out wasn't through a message or a rumor or some late-night confession. It was through my own wedding invitation. One small detail on that card exposed a secret so ugly, so impossible, that for a moment I couldn't even breathe. Before I tell you what happened next, take a second to like and subscribe to the channel and tell me your country in the comments. Now let's begin. I had been with Daniel for almost 4 years. Long enough to know his habits, his moods, the little way he rubbed the back of his neck when he was nervous. Long enough to believe I knew the man I was going to marry. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. Steady. Safe. The wedding was supposed to be simple. Elegant, small, mostly family and a few close friends. I didn't want anything too loud or extravagant. I just wanted the day to feel real. Honest. Ours. For weeks I had been buried in details. Seating charts. Dress fittings. Vendor calls. Guest confirmations. Every day felt like a countdown to the life I thought I had always wanted. And Daniel? He kept saying the same thing. "You're doing too much," he would laugh. "Just let the day come." At the time I thought he meant I was stressed. I thought he was trying to calm me down. I should have seen it earlier. 3 days before we mailed the final invitation set, I was sitting at the dining table with a cup of cold coffee beside me, checking the printed envelopes one by one. My mother had always told me to inspect everything twice before sending it out. Names, addresses, spelling, dates. I almost didn't do it. I was tired. My eyes hurt. My back ached. But something in me said, just check one more time. So I did. At first, everything looked normal. Cream paper. Gold lettering. My name. Daniel's name. The venue. The date. The usual formal wording. And then I noticed a line that shouldn't have been there. It was printed under the RSVP return section in smaller font. Not bold. Not obvious. Easy to miss if you weren't really looking. For family coordination, please contact Anna Whitmore. I frowned. Anna Whitmore. I stared at the name for a few seconds, waiting for it to make sense. It didn't. I didn't know any Anna Whitmore. Not from my side. Not from the wedding planner. Not from the venue. And definitely not from Daniel's immediate family, or at least the family I knew. First, I thought it was a printing mistake. Maybe an old template. Maybe the printer copied a previous order by accident. That would have been normal. Harmless. But then I noticed the phone number next to the name. It wasn't random. I had seen those last 4 digits before. My stomach tightened. I reached for my phone and opened Daniel's contact. Same number. No, not Daniel's main number. His work phone. The one he said he only used for clients and temporary projects. The one he never let ring around me. The one he always kept face down. For a second I just sat there frozen, staring at that invitation like it had burned through the paper. Then I whispered it out loud. "Who is Anna?" The room felt suddenly too quiet. Too small. I called Daniel right away. No answer. I called again. Straight to voicemail. And that's when things felt off. Because Daniel always answered on days like that. Wedding week. He picked up every call. Even if it was just to say he was busy. But this time nothing. I told myself not to panic. There had to be an explanation. There always is, right? A cousin. A planner. A family friend helping behind the scenes. But here was the thing. Why would his secret phone number be listed under another woman's name? I couldn't sit still after that. I started going through the rest of the invitation box. Same line. Same name. Every single card. Whoever Anna Whitmore was, she had been placed into the center of my wedding without me knowing. My hand started shaking. Then I remembered something small. Something I had ignored months earlier. One night, Daniel had fallen asleep on the couch while watching television. His phone lit up beside him. I wasn't trying to snoop. I only glanced because the screen kept flashing. And I saw a message preview that disappeared almost instantly. "Are you coming home tonight? Or should I tell the girls you're working again?" At the time Daniel had woken up, grabbed the phone and laughed it off. "My sister," he said. "She always jokes like that." I believed him. I actually believed him. And then it hit me. The girls. Anna. The second phone. My chest felt tight now, painfully tight. like my body understood the truth before my mind was ready to accept it. I did the one thing I had promised myself I would never do. I unlocked his office drawer. It wasn't even hard. Daniel was careless in the ways guilty people often are. Too calm, too confident, too sure no one would ever connect the pieces. Inside the drawer were files, receipts, a passport copy, a few folded papers. I was barely breathing as I searched through them. Then I found a document tucked inside a plain brown folder. A school fee receipt. Parent name Daniel Harper. Student names Lily Harper, Sophie Harper. I stared at the paper until the words blurred. Harper. His last name. Not mine. Not some mistake. His. Below the receipt was a family medical insurance form. Primary spouse Anna Whitmore. For a moment the room tilted. I had to grab the desk just to stay standing. My ears were ringing. My hands were cold. My wedding dress fitting was scheduled for that afternoon. And there I was, standing in the middle of our apartment, holding proof that the man I was about to marry already had a wife. And not just a wife. Children. A whole second life. But what happened next was even worse. Because while I was still trying to process that, my phone buzzed. It was Daniel. And when I answered, his voice was low, rushed, almost annoyed. Emily, he said. Did you send the invitations already? For a second I couldn't even answer him. My throat felt dry. My hands were still shaking, gripping that paper so tightly it had started to crease. Emily, he repeated, a little sharper this time. Did you send them? And then it hit me. He wasn't asking casually. He was worried. No, I said slowly, forcing my voice to stay steady. Not yet. There was a pause on the other end. A long one. Too long. Good, he said finally, exhaling like he had just been holding his breath. Don't send them yet. I need to check something first. My heart dropped. Check what? I swallowed hard. What do you need to check? Just something with the guest list, he replied quickly. Too quickly. I'll fix it. Don't worry. Don't worry. I almost laughed. But I didn't. Instead, I looked down at the papers in my hand. The names. The proof. The life he never told me about. And something inside me shifted. Because in that moment I realized something very clearly. He didn't know that I knew. Okay, I said softly. I won't send anything. Good, he replied. I'll be home soon. The call ended. And the silence that followed felt heavier than anything before it. For a few seconds I just stood there staring at nothing. Then slowly, I sat down. My mind was racing but not in panic anymore. In clarity. Everything started connecting. The late nights. The work trips. The way he avoided certain questions. The second phone. The strange messages. The way he never let me meet certain people from his past. I should have seen it earlier. But I didn't. And now it was all right in front of me. I took a deep breath. Then another. And that's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront him right away. No. Because if there was one thing I knew for sure, it was that Daniel was good at lying. Too good. If I went to him now, he would twist it. Deny it. Turn it into something else. And I needed the truth. All of it. So instead, I did something else. I picked up my phone. And I called the number printed on the invitation. Anna Whitmore. It rang twice. 3 times. Then a voice answered. Hello. Soft. Calm. Normal. Completely unaware. For a moment I couldn't speak. Because hearing her voice made it real in a way nothing else had. But then I forced myself. Hi, I said quietly. Is this Anna? Yes, she replied. Who's this? I hesitated. Just for a second. Then I said it. My name is Emily. Silence. I could feel it through the phone. Heavy. Sudden. Sharp. I continued slowly, my heart pounding now. We need to talk about Daniel. Another pause. Longer this time. And then her voice came back. But it wasn't the same anymore. What about him? There was something in her tone now. Something guarded. Careful. And that told me everything I needed to know. He's my fiancé, I said. The words felt strange coming out of my mouth now. Fiancé. Like they didn't belong to me anymore. Another silence. But this one was different. This one was breaking. And then very quietly she said, "He's my husband." The world didn't shatter. It didn't explode. It just stopped. Everything inside me went still. I closed my eyes, not because I was shocked, but because now there was no more doubt, no more confusion, just truth, raw, clear, unavoidable. "How long?" I asked softly. 8 years, she replied. 8 years. I pressed my fingers against my forehead, trying to steady myself. "And the girls?" I asked. "Our daughters," she said. "Lily and Sophie." I nodded slowly, even though she couldn't see me. Of course they were. "And you?" she asked suddenly. "How long have you been with him?" "For years," I said. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end, and then silence again. But this time it wasn't empty. It was full of realization, full of anger, full of something building. "I didn't know," she said finally, her voice quieter now. "I didn't either," I replied. And for a moment we were both just two strangers connected by the same lie. Then she asked the question that changed everything. "When is the wedding?" I looked down at the invitation still lying on the table. 3 days, I said. Another pause. Then, "Send them." I frowned slightly. "What?" "The invitations," she said, her voice steady now. Stronger. "Send them." My heart started to beat faster. "You're sure?" I asked. "Yes," she replied. "But don't change anything." I didn't understand. "Why?" And then she said something that made my breath catch. "Because if he thinks he can live 2 lives," she said slowly, "then he can face both of them at the same time." I went completely still. And then, I understood. The wedding, the guests, the invitations, everything. He thought he was in control. He thought he could manage both worlds. But what he didn't know was that those worlds were about to collide. And this time, he wouldn't be able to lie his way out of it. I didn't respond right away. Because what she was suggesting, it wasn't just confrontation. It was exposure. Public. Complete. Irreversible. "Are you sure?" I asked again, my voice lower now. There was no hesitation this time. "Yes," Anna said. "I've been living in his truth for 8 years. It's time he lives in ours." A chill ran through my body. Not fear. Something else. Something sharper. "Okay," I said quietly. And just like that, everything changed. We ended the call shortly after, but not before agreeing on one thing. Neither of us would tell him anything. Not yet. The rest of the day felt unreal. I moved through it like I was watching someone else live my life. I finalized the invitations, double-checked every detail, sealed each envelope carefully. But this time, I wasn't preparing for a wedding. I was setting a trap. And that's when it hit me. He was still coming home, acting normal, pretending nothing had changed. I heard the door open that evening. "Emily." Daniel's voice called out casually. "You home?" I took a slow breath and stepped into the living room. He looked exactly the same. Same face. Same calm expression. Same man I thought I loved. And for a second it made everything feel even worse. "Hey," I said softly. He walked over, leaning in to kiss my cheek like he always did. I didn't move. Not forward. Not back. Just still. He paused slightly, noticing it. "You okay?" he asked. And there it was. That tone. Concerned. Gentle. Fake. "I'm just tired," I said. He nodded like he accepted it. "Yeah, wedding stress," he smiled. "Almost over." Almost over. I almost laughed again. "Did you check the invitations?" he asked casually. I held his gaze. "Yeah," I said. "And?" he pressed. "They're perfect." He smiled. Relaxed. Relieved. That was the moment I knew. He had no idea. No idea that everything was already unraveling. The next 2 days passed slowly. Painfully slow. Every conversation felt like a test. Every look, every word, every touch fake. But I played my part. Perfectly. And behind the scenes, everything was already in motion. The invitations were sent. Every single one. Family. Friends. Extended relatives. And one more group. Anna's side. Her parents. Her siblings. Even a few people Daniel probably never expected to see in the same room as me. The day of the wedding arrived. The venue looked exactly how I had imagined. Soft lights, white flowers, everything calm, beautiful, perfect. Guests started arriving one by one, smiling, laughing, completely unaware of what was about to happen. I stood in the dressing room, staring at myself in the mirror. The dress, the makeup, everything was exactly how I had planned it. But I wasn't the same person anymore. Not even close. There was a knock on the door. "Emily," my friend called. "It's almost time." I nodded. "I'll be right there." But before I moved, I picked up my phone. One message. From Anna. "We're here." My heart started beating faster. This was it. No going back. I stepped out of the room and walked toward the ceremony hall. The music had already started. Guests were seated. Daniel stood at the front smiling, waiting, like everything was normal, like everything was his. I started walking down the aisle. Slowly. Every step felt heavier but clearer. And as I got closer, I saw it. The moment everything shifted. At the far side of the seating area, Anna stood up. Two young girls beside her. And behind them her family. Daniel's smile didn't disappear immediately. At first he didn't understand. Then his eyes moved. From me, to her, to the girls, and then back to me. And in that exact moment, I saw it. The truth. The fear. The realization. All at once. His face went pale. His body stiffened. The room grew quieter. People started noticing. Whispers spread. Confusion. Tension. And then, I stopped walking. Right in the middle of the aisle. Silence fell completely. I looked straight at him. Then slowly, I turned toward Anna. Then back to him again. And finally, I spoke. "Daniel," I said calmly. My voice didn't shake. Not even a little. "Do you want to tell them?" I paused. Letting the silence stretch. Letting every eye stay locked on him. Or should I? The entire room held its breath. And Daniel said nothing. Not a word. Just stood there. Trapped. Exactly where he belonged. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. It was like the entire room had frozen in place. Daniel's eyes darted between me and Anna, then to the two girls standing beside her. His daughters. There was no hiding it now. No explaining it away. No clever words left. "Emily," he finally said, his voice low, shaky. "I can explain." I almost smiled. Explain. After 4 years. After a wedding. After building a life on lies. "You should," I said calmly. "Because I'd really like to hear how you explain having a wife and 2 children, while standing here about to marry me." A ripple moved through the crowd. Gasps. Whispers. Shock. Daniel swallowed hard, his hands trembling slightly. "It's not what it looks like," he said quickly. "That line. That same line. The one every liar thinks will save them." Anna let out a quiet, almost disbelieving laugh from the side. "Really?" she said. "Then what does it look like, Daniel?" All eyes turned to her now. She stepped forward slowly, one hand resting gently on one of the girl's shoulders. "You told me you were working late," she continued, her voice steady but sharp. "You told me you were building something for us. For our future." Daniel shook his head, stepping back slightly. "Anna, please, not here," he said. "Not here," she repeated. "Where exactly did you plan for this to come out? Another house? Another wedding?" The tension in the room thickened. People were standing now, watching, listening. No one was leaving. I took a step forward. Not toward him, but toward the truth. "You used the same number," I said quietly, "on my wedding invitations." Daniel's eyes snapped toward me. "What?" "That number," I continued, holding up one of the invitations I had brought with me. "The one under her name. That's how I found out." His face completely changed. The realization hit him like a wave. That was a mistake," he said quickly. But even he didn't believe that. Because deep down he knew. There were too many mistakes. Too many lies. Too many lives. "You built 2 worlds," I said. My voice was still calm. Too calm. "And you thought they'd never meet." Silence. Heavy. Unforgiving. One of the guests whispered something behind me. Someone else pulled out their phone. But I didn't care. None of that mattered. Only this moment. Only the truth. Daniel looked at me again, and for the first time, he didn't look confident. He looked small. Emily, I was going to tell you, he said. I shook my head slowly. No, I replied. You weren't. Because if he was, he would have. A long time ago. Anna stepped closer now. Not angry. Not loud. Just done. How long were you planning this? She asked him quietly. Daniel didn't answer. Because there was no answer that could fix this. No version of the truth that could make it better. One of the girls looked up at him. Daddy, she said softly. That word cut through everything. Daniel closed his eyes for a second. And that was it. That was the moment everything collapsed. I took a slow breath. Then I reached up and removed my veil. The room watched in silence. I folded it carefully, placed it on the nearest chair. And then I looked at him one last time. This isn't a wedding, I said. It's the end of your lies. His lips parted slightly, like he wanted to say something. But nothing came out. Because there was nothing left to say. I turned away from him. Not in anger. Not in sadness. But in clarity. And I walked down the aisle. Not as a bride. But as someone who had just taken her life back. Behind me, I could hear the whispers growing louder. The confusion, the judgment, the truth spreading faster than he could ever contain it. But I didn't look back. I didn't need to, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't the one being lied to, and neither was she. Some people think betrayal breaks you, but sometimes, it shows you exactly who deserves to be left behind.